What's up, guys? Adam back again with RV Returners for the last of the main color set reviews. So we have water. Again, water's been also really good for a while. A lot of staple cards that just continue to see play. So let's go ahead and look at some water cards and see if they're also going to improve in Opus 6. So first up, we got Amric. He is a 5 CP 9K, and he doesn't receive damage that's less than his power. So he has Minwu on his card. When Amric attacks all forwards other than Amric, you control gain plus 2,000 power until end of turn. I think he's a bit redundant in standard decks. However, in sealed and limited format, this guy's probably going to be an absolute monster. So even though I don't think he's going to see much play in standard, I think he's going to see a ton of play in sealed, and I think this is going to be a card that you're going to want to snag. Next up, we got Ultimecia. She is a 3 CP 7K. Dull 3 active forwards. Choose 1 forward, dull it. Then she has a special for S and water. Choose 2 forwards, dull the first, activate the other. I think this card's pretty bad. I don't see it seeing much play at all. I think both are kind of expensive. I mean, the S is not that bad, but it still means you have to run more than one of the Ultimecia, even if you're running the old one, and that doesn't see much play because it's just too slow. And the first ability is just way, way too expensive. If it was 3 like backups or forwards, maybe similar to like how Refia is worded, I might give this card a break, but it's not, so I think it's bad. We got Thornton the 7th. He's a 5 CP backup EX burst. When he enters the field, you may search for 1 card added to your hand, and when he's put from the field into the break zone, draw a card. I think this card is really good. I think EX burst is what puts it over the top. It lets you search your deck for any card you need at the time. So I think it's just kind of right on par with 5 CP, and if it comes off the top, you're feeling really good. I think this will see a lot of play. Next up, we got Aiko. She's a 3 CP backup. If you have cast a summon this turn, the cost required to play Aiko into the field is reduced by 2. And then she has an S for S and tap. Search her deck for 1 summon and add it to your hand. I think she's okay. Maybe in some like very heavy summon deck that I think they're trying to push with this set. I just don't know if she's going to make the cut or not. And I mean, you have to run multiple because you want to use her S if you're playing her. Otherwise, you're just playing a 1 CP backup. You might as well just be playing, the 1 CP backup. I don't think she's going to see much play, sadly. Next up, we got a 1 CP backup. Again, kind of said this in every review so far. This probably means a rotation's coming, or they're just concentrating more on limited formats. We'll see what happens in the future. Now we have Sahagin. It's a 3 CP monster. For 0 until end of turn, Sahagin becomes a forward of 6k power. And when it attacks, draw a card, then discard a card from your hand. I actually don't think this card's that good at all. I don't think it's going to really be played in the monster builds that are currently out there, whether it be mono water or 3 color or whatever. Maybe you could try a 1-of just if you want the extra card draw, but a lot of times this guy's not going to be strong enough to survive an attack, so you're just going to be paying 3 CP to draw a card and discard a card, and at that point, why not just run Moogle? This guy has to get in probably 2 or 3 times to be worth it, I think. Next up, we got Shuyin. When he enters the field, choose 1 forward with power inferior to Shuyin, gain control of that forward until end of turn, and he's a 5 CP 7k. So it's going to be hard for him to get anything that's relevant. You're going to have like a Refia and a Waka out to steal something good. Just a Waka, I guess, will let you steal a 3 CP, but you only get it for a turn. And when you grab stuff, they don't have haste or anything, so you can't do anything with them, but block but the only way you're gonna block is if you're like Tama in the Skyan or something like that, which then requires even more cards. So this guy probably requires 2 to 3 cards to even do anything relevant. You could do some cute stuff with, like, say, Opus 4, Legendary Kefka, steal something, and then break it to its cost. That could be good, but I don't know if that warrants him seeing play. I don't think he's super awful, but I don't think he's going to see much play either. Next up, we got Summoner. It's a 2 CP backup for tap. Put it in the break zone, cast a summon from your hand. The cost required to cast it is reduced by 2. So it just lets you cast a summon at a 2 CP discount for a tap break. I don't think this is worth a card slot, sadly. A lot of water summons are pretty cheap anyway, so really you're looking to play this in some kind of like multicolor deck. But with all this other summon pushing to like reduce cost and cast stuff for free, I don't even think this guy makes the cut in those decks, sadly. So we got Templar. He's a 4 CP 8k, tax advance 2. For tap, choose a forward during this turn. The next damage dealt to it is reduced by 2k. Meh. He's pretty good in sealed. Other than that, he's whatever. Because in sealed, you could like block with him and then tap to make something else, reduced by 2k. Or you can target himself while he's blocking another 8k or something cute like that. But in standard, I just don't see how he's going to fit in any builds currently. So next up, we got Scott. He's a 3 CP 4k. For each backup you control, Scott gains 1,000 power. So he's the knight. The standard unit knight. And if you control a card named Hilda, Scott, and Gordon, you control have Brave. So he's 1 CP, or he's 1k power more than the knight, the 2 CP knight. He is 1 extra CP though, but he is a job prince, so like he does work well with like Clady and things like that. We'll look at Hilda later, and I think if Hilda was better, he'd probably be better. But I think as it is, I'm not sure how much play he's gonna see. Maybe in like the Knight Prince deck, he makes the cut just because he can get kind of big and he's able to be targeted by Clady, but we'll see. So we have Draco Battalion. I don't even know if I said that right. It's a 2 CP water monster for 1 water, 1 colorless. Put him in the break zone. Choose a forward, return it to its owner's hand. It has to be an opponent's forward. It's an overcosted Leviathan. I think it's bad. I don't think it'll see play at all. I think it's just actually pretty terrible. Next up, we got Siren. It's a 1 CP EX burst summon. Choose a water forward. It gains plus 4,000 power until end of turn. Again, it's just too narrow. I don't think it's going to see much play. 4k is a lot, but like water forwards already get so big anyways that power increasing on a summon and like as a card slot, I just don't see it making the cut. I actually think it's just not going to see play at all. Next up, we got Astrologian. It's a 2 CP backup for tap. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a backup, add it to your hand. If it's not a backup, put it in the break zone. So I think a lot of people were like shitting on this card earlier, and I actually think this card is very, very good. You can kind of control the RNG with cards like Schrodinger and Yule and things like that to look, and Geomancer as well, to look at the top card of your deck and decide if you want to draw. And if you can do that, this is basically like drawing a 3rd card on those turns, which is pretty insane because it's just 1 CP, draw a card. That's really good. So I actually have a lot of ideas for this, and I think it will definitely see play. Next up, we have Chime. It's a 4 CP backup. You control Leo. Cost reduced to play Chime is reduced by 2. When Chime enters the field, choose 1 forward opponent controls. You may return 1 forward you control to its owner's hand, and if you do, return the chosen forward to its owner's hand. I think she's a bit expensive because you could just play Opus 4 Leviathan. I guess if you're playing Leo, though, it might not be bad as a 2 CP backup. But other than that, I don't think it's going to see much play. Next up, we got Paladin. 5 CP 8k. If he's dealt damage by a forward, reduce the damage by 4k instead. I'm on the fence about this guy. I don't think he's bad. I think he's really good against cards like Dodaluma and stuff like that. Because he's just not going to take damage from him, and you don't have to have Minu out for that to happen. However, he still trades with Dodaluma straight up in combat and a lot of other 4 CPs. Well, actually, no, he doesn't. I'm sorry, because it's all damage, so you kind of have to swing at him for 12. However, summons will nag him, but I mean, only fire summons are gonna get him, and if fire is not that great, then he's gonna be actually really good, I think. But I do think this card will see play, and in limited, I think it's pretty great. All right, so next we got Puget. He's an EX burst. When he enters the field, you may search for 1 job prince, add it to your hand. So this tutors out right now Scott, Gordon, and a few other old Prince jobs, like I think Wrestler and some other ones. He's really understated. I don't know if you really need to search those cards out in the decks that they're played in, but if they're good enough, he'll see play. It's kind of underwhelming to me right now, but maybe as we go forward and we see more Princes, he'll be better. Next up, we got Hilda. She's a 6 CP backup. When she enters the field, draw a card for each forward you control. You can only draw up to 4 cards with this ability. Kind of wish that the second line wasn't there, just because at least if you overextend, you can draw just like a ton of cards. However, like playing these decks that people are thinking of with these cards, like you're just gonna deck out and then you're probably gonna lose because you can't kill them. But I mean, I'm gonna probably maybe try to build something with this in it just to see if I can draw a bunch of cards and kill people. But it's gonna be really hard, I think, because the forwards you're gonna play to get this off is just, they're not gonna be very powerful, sadly. So I don't think it'll see much play. Next up, we got Minwu, first water legendary. When he enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 summon among them to your hand, and return the others to the bottom of your deck. And then when he attacks, you may cast 1 summon that costs 4 or less from your hand and cast it without paying its cost. I think he's pretty good. He is understated, but like I said, water could get very big. It lets you play like some off-color 4CP summons, which Garnet couldn't do. And those tend to be like the summons that kind of hit like a lot of sweet spots, and they're pretty good. That being said, the deck that he goes in has to be good, but maybe just the Garnet deck and just slamming him in that might be good enough. I do think he will see play, and I think his ability is very good. Next up, we got the other water legendary. It's a 6 TP Yuna. She's an AK. When she enters the field, play 1 job Gold Wing forward from your hand onto the field, or search for 1 job Gold Wing forward other than card name Yuna and add it to your hand. For 1 colorless, remove 3 summons in the break zone from the game. Choose 1 job Gold Wing forward. Activate it. It gains plus 1,000 power until end of turn. So this is kind of meant to be played with the new Gold Wings, where they can kind of become hexproof and like get kind of big. But the problem is I just don't think the archetype is good enough, and I'd rather still play 5 CP Yuna, 3 CP Pain, and backup 2 CP Riku, the mill. So I don't think it's going to see much play. However, in title, I think it's going to be amazing, and we'll see a ton of play there. Next up, we got the new Leviathan. Select one of the 3 actions. Choose a forward, return to its owner's hand. Choose 1 action ability, cancel. And during this turn, your forwards can't take damage from summons. I'd like the 3rd ability to say summons and abilities, but I guess maybe that's asking for too much. I think Opus 1 Leviathan is just better. If you want to run an extra Leviathan, I'd rather it have burst. So I'm probably looking at like Opus 4, Opus 5 Leviathan. The 2nd ability is very cute, though. It's very good at canceling action abilities from backups. So maybe it's worth running just for that alone. Other than that, I don't think it sees much play in any kind of standard constructed decks. Maybe as like a 1-of or something. And then last we have Layla. She is a 4 CP 8K. 4 CP 3K. When she enters the field, choose 1 card Viking, throws 3 or less in your break zone, and play it onto the field. I think if you can consistently get Opus 4 Viking back with this card will be worth, because you're getting 2 cards. Well, you're getting 1 card, and you're going to get the 2nd card from Viking. And it allows you to keep recurring Viking. The problem is a deck where you're just able to draw a bunch of cards going to be good. Like what's going to be your win condition. However, if you can just keep recurring those, I actually like this card, and I do think there will be an archetype that's actually pretty decent with it. But we'll have to see. Yeah, so that's all for the water cards. I think they got a few good things, but nothing crazy really. It seems like the most lackluster of all the elements, but not bad. And water is already good as it is and has a ton of good cards. So I do think they have enough to maybe jam a few cards in there. But overall, I'd say the power level on these cards are kind of low. So that's it for now. Talk to you guys later. See ya.